So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing if the Arizona Cardinals are in trouble without DeAndre Hopkins. Now, before we get into the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and let's jump right into the video. So obviously, whatever I say in this video is just my opinion based off of how the Arizona Cardinals are structured and based off the situation that is happening. Because DeAndre Hopkins, he was suspended 6 games for using performance-enhancing drugs. So obviously, he's going to miss some games because of that situation. And he was injured last year, so this is really going to give him, I guess, even more time to heal and be ready for the season when he does come back in week 7. So this really does beg the question, are the Arizona Cardinals in trouble because of the PED use by DeAndre Hopkins? And if I'm being 100% honest, I don't think they're in trouble. I think it more makes them an interesting team than anything, because I think the Cardinals are in a spot right now that even without DeAndre Hopkins, they're going to be okay. But I really do think that this makes the Arizona Cardinals an even more interesting team than what they already are. But what I do think as well is it's going to put a little bit of pressure, I would say, on Kyler Murray to play his best 6 games of football of his entire career. I think this is a really good chance for Kyler Murray to earn that contract if they don't pay him in the offseason, to really earn that contract that he wanted this offseason with all that noise that him, the Cardinals, his agent, all that noise that they made. I think this is a really good opportunity for Kyler Murray to earn that contract extension that he really wants. And this is a really good time to show the Cardinals that, hey, I need that long-term extension. I earned that extension. You guys need to give it to me. So I don't think that this is a big loss for the Cardinals. I don't think they're in trouble. Like I said, it makes them interesting. But it's going to be a catalyst, I think, to Kyler Murray getting paid, because I'm taking the positive route in this, because I really do think this is the best opportunity in Kyler Murray's career to earn that contract extension that he wants. I think there is more positive in this situation than negative. I understand you're losing DeAndre Hopkins. He's one of the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL when he's healthy. Obviously, he was hurt for 7 games last year. The Cardinals, they were 3-4 in those 7 games without DeAndre Hopkins last year. So obviously, they struggled a little bit without him last season. But I really do think this is the perfect opportunity for Kyler Murray to go out there and play his best football. I really do. And I like the opportunity for Kyler Murray. And just because, and I understand that the Cardinals are kind of a little bit hesitant to pay Kyler Murray right now, because if you look at the way that their season ended in that wild card round against the Rams, it was not a good game. They were missing DeAndre Hopkins, but I think Kyler Murray is more at fault for the loss of that game, because Kyler Murray was pretty bad in that football game. And so I think just how bad that the Cardinals were in that game, and DeAndre Hopkins, I guess, not being there was a good reason for them not being good in that game, but Kyler Murray also played poorly. So this is a really good opportunity for all parties involved. It's going to help get DeAndre Hopkins even more healthy heading into week 7. But then it's also going to, like I said, prove that Kyler Murray is worthy of that contract extension. But that wild card round loss, that was more on Kyler Murray than missing DeAndre Hopkins, because they were already missing DeAndre Hopkins up to that point. Like, he was already missing games late in that season. So at that point, it was really just on Kyler Murray and his poor performance. But if we're looking at the Cardinals wide receiving core right now, it's really not that bad, if you ask me. I think it's a really good group that can help Kyler Murray in that offense. It's going to help them win games. I think that this is a perfect opportunity for the Cardinals to steal a few games, if anything, because they're going to get DeAndre Hopkins back fully healthy at some point. So these first 6 games of next season is a really good opportunity for the Cardinals to steal some games. Like I said, they have a good receiving core right now. They did lose Christian Kirk in free agency to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, I think that's a bit of a loss, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's necessarily the end of the world for the Cardinals, because they ended up trading for Hollywood Brown. Now, when this trade first came down on draft night, I was confused, especially for the fact that the Cardinals gave up a first-round pick for Hollywood Brown. I think Hollywood Brown's a good football player, but I don't think he's worth a first-round pick. So that was kind of the part where I'm confused. Why would you give up a first-round pick for Hollywood Brown when you have, already a solid receiving core? And then things started to add up a little bit more. The second DeAndre Hopkins was suspended, I'm like, okay, this trade for Hollywood Brown makes complete sense now. I now understand why they traded away a first-round pick for Hollywood Brown. One, they needed some reinforcement on that offense after losing DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games of the season. But then it also, in a way, is going to help make Kyler Murray a little bit happier playing next season if they don't get this contract extension done in the offseason, because they're giving Kyler Murray a guy that he played with at Oklahoma, so he knows how to play with Hollywood Brown. It's kind of kind of like Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. Those guys aren't going to have to really catch up to speed with each other because they already know how each other play. They already played great together when they were in college. So I think this is just a way to, one, make Kyler Murray happy. Two, it's also going to be great for that chemistry of the offense, because I don't think, when it comes chemistry wise, I don't think that the chemistry of this offense is going to miss a beat, losing DeAndre Hopkins, because they're going to bring in a guy that's played with their quarterback already in college. I understand NFL, college football, it's a bit different, but Cliff Kingsbury, he was a college head coach at one point. So there's a lot of factors in here that I think give the Cardinals a good positive vibe heading into next season, even after losing DeAndre Hopkins. And Hollywood Brown, as much as I wouldn't have given up a first round pick for him, I still think that's a good pickup for the Arizona Cardinals. And again, makes Kyler Murray happy after all the contract talks that he had this offseason. But Hollywood Brown, he's replacing Christian Kirk on that offense. But he also the Cardinals, they already have a really solid receiving core. Even if DeAndre Hopkins isn't there, you have AJ Green, who's a veteran who can give them quality snaps. He knows what he's doing. If they need one play, on a 3rd and 7, he can be that guy that can be the comfort blanket on that offense. Get him the ball over the middle, get him a few quick, 7-8 yards. He can do that for you still. You have Rondale Moore. He had a solid rookie season, 54 receptions, 435 yards. I expect him in those first 6 games. He's going to make a big impact. He was a good player last year. There was the beginning of last season, I saw Rondale Moore. I'm like, this guy's really good. So I think he can make that jump into year 2 and make some really good plays. For the Cardinals, they still have Zach Ertz on that offense. He was one of the better tight ends in the NFL. Doesn't get talked about as much, but he made an impact with the Cardinals immediately when he got there last year after being traded from the Philadelphia Eagles. So those 3 guys right there, just the guys that, that Kyler Murray are throwing to his normal receiving threats, those are some good pieces to be throwing to. Those are going to be really vital. Those 3 guys right there are going to be vital in the success of the Arizona Cardinals next year. But then you have the X factor, the guy that's literally just a touchdown machine for the Arizona Cardinals last season. You have James Conner. That dude had over 1,000 scrimmage yards last year, rushing and receiving combined. But then he also had 18 touchdowns. So literally when you get in the red zone, just feed the dude the rock and you will score. So basically, all you have to do, make some plays with AJ Green, Rondale Moore, Zach Ertz, and then just feed James Conner in the red zone, and you will score a bunch of touchdowns, and your offense will be successful. So offensively, I don't think the Cardinals need to worry without DeAndre Hopkins. If anything, it's positive because you're going to get DeAndre Hopkins back really healthy. He's already one of the better wide receivers in the NFL, one of the best. It's going to put a little bit of pressure on Kyler Murray. There's no denying that. I understand that there's going to be pressure on Kyler Murray. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, Kyler Murray has, he has easy going. It's not. It's going to be rough because he's one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. But at the same time, it's a good opportunity for the Cardinals to steal 4 or 5 games. If they go, 4-2, 5-1 in those first 6 games, because they've started off the last 2 seasons really hot. So if they can stay hot those first few games, but then also add back DeAndre Hopkins, I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be just fine, because when they get him back week 7, as I mentioned, fully healthy, I think this Cardinals offense is going to be just fine. And I think this is the best opportunity I think the Cardinals have of finally making a deeper playoff run, because that was a very disappointing loss that the Cardinals had last year. I know DeAndre Hopkins didn't play, but Kyler Murray was also pretty bad in that game. So overall, I think there's a lot of positives to this. It's positive for Kyler Murray. He can take a leap and earn that contract that he wants after the poor ending to last season. It's going to give guys like AJ Green, Rondale Moore time to shine. Zach Ertz is going to be able to shine, incorporate them more in the offense. You have James Conner, who's really good. So overall, I don't think the Cardinals are in trouble. I just think it makes it more interesting. I really do. So give me your thoughts down below of what you think of the DeAndre Hopkins situation. Are the Cardinals in trouble in your eyes, or do you think it's going to be an interesting season for the first 6 games for the Cardinals? Give me your thoughts down below, and I will see you in the next one.